don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up off my knees. I'm standing proud. I don't beg and I don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up off my knees. I'm standing proud, and everybody knows that I'm proud. You see it when you're looking at my smile. I rock it like it's going out of style. 'Cause I'm proud, and I'm proud, and everybody knows that I'm proud. You see me when you're looking at my smile. I rock it like it's going out of style. 'Cause I'm proud. I don't beg and I don't bow. I can't bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up off my knees. I'm standing proud. I don't beg and I don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up off my knees. I'm standing proud, and everybody knows that I'm proud. You see it when you're looking at my smile. I rock it like it's going out of style. 'Cause I'm proud, 'cause I'm proud, and everybody knows that I'm proud. You see it when you're looking at my smile. I rock it like it's going out of style. I don't beg and I don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up off my knees. I'm standing proud. I don't beg and I don't bow. I might bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up on my knees. I'm standing proud. I don't beg and I don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down. Standing tall, feet on the ground, up on my knees. I'm standing proud. And everybody knows that I'm proud. You see it when you're looking at my smile. I rock it like it's going out of style. 'Cause I'm proud, and I'm proud. Yeah, and everybody knows that I'm proud. You see it when you're looking at my smile. I rock it like it's going out of style. 'Cause I'm proud. I don't beg and I don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down. I'm standing tall, feet on the ground, up off my knees. I'm standing proud. I'm standing proud.
Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you're standing proud out there. That's one of my favorite songs. I cannot lie. I love it. I don't beg and I don't bow. I may bend, but I won't stay down, up off my knees. Listen, I'm standing proud. I hope y'all have had a wonderful Friday today. This is somewhat of an impromptu. I don't want to say impromptu because I knew I was going to do it. I just didn't plan it. But so we're having a conversations today on rebuilding trust after community. And of course, now as you're coming in, please let us know where you're watching from in the chat. I'm trying to get in the habit of going live every Friday. We're going to see. We've already been doing it on Wednesdays. We're trying to bring some Friday up in the mix. I do have a quick announcement for you before we jump into this conversation today, which I think is going to be really good, but just a real quick announcement. If you, but what's the word? If you bear with me for a moment, boom shakalaka. There we go. We made it. I'm officially a quarter finalist in the Entrepreneur of Impact competition. What that means for you is that you can take a break from voting for a while. Like we got to, I think it's, let me scroll down here. Da-da-da-da-da. Let me get over here. See, this is why I don't like multitasking on the computer because I can't. There it is. Scroll down. For 2 days and 23 hours, you don't have to worry about voting because now it's the wild card round. But in 2 days and 23 hours, roughly 3 days, we'll be right back in it, and that'll be the round for the quarterfinals. So again, thank you everybody who's participated. Uh, mm, Thank you everybody who's participated and who's been voting so far. Because honestly, man, I did not, and I'm just being absolutely honest. This is not me trying to be falsely humble. I'm too narcissistic for any of that. So I'm honestly humbled at the amount of people who have voted for us and supported us throughout this journey. We have an amazing community. Oh man, Kyle, is great to see you in the chat. We have an amazing community. Kai is in the chat too. See, that's a great day. That's a great day. See, this is why I should do stuff on Fridays, I guess. I was supposed to go live at noon, and then I realized that I had a meeting at noon that I had neglected to put on my calendar. Foolish me, right? So I had to push this back to 12:30, and I just so happened to finish that meeting right at 12:30, so it worked out perfectly. All right, so today I want to talk about rebuilding trust after religion, and I think I'm gonna throw a poll up here. Let me see here, because the studio allows me to do something different now. So I'm gonna add this poll, and I like to put it somewhere different. I don't like it right there. Yep. And if you can see that poll, you can participate at any moment during the conversation, and I'll be checking on it periodically. I just want to see how those numbers do. And so let's just kind of get into this today. Forgive me, I have my fan on. It's hot. So if you can hear it, I'm sorry. All right. So I want to have this conversation today about rebuilding trust after religion. I did 2 videos this week on one was on naming isn't knowing. So knowing the name of something is not the same thing as knowing something. And then my video yesterday was on borrowed certainty. And I don't mean to shamelessly plug, but I'm plugging and I'm doing it shamelessly. Make sure to go check out those videos. But those videos exist in a vein where, and I'm understanding more and more that in a world where people leave high control religion only to find themselves locked into a high control culture, just knowing that religion is harmful is not enough. Nah, just knowing that a religion is bad is not enough. We have to know what's in the fabric of religion that makes it harmful, and to ask if those patterns are unique to religion alone. It's not a flex to recognize it in religion if we can't recognize it in our relationships. Can I run that back? Can I say that again? I think I will. It's not enough to recognize the patterns of control. It's not enough to recognize the patterns of coercion. It's not enough to recognize it, watch this, in religion, but yet not recognize it in our relationships. Like, and that's so sometimes I think, oh man, I see. So sometimes I think we get to the place where we think, okay, religion, that's what's wrong with the world. And in those 2 videos, I'm really trying to really trying to help us look at this a little differently. Maybe religion is harmful because we the problem. Maybe politics are harmful because we the problem. You know, maybe government gets away with some of the most harmful things because we're the problem. Okay, so I think that whatever makes us vulnerable to religious control, if it remains undiagnosed, if you will, it can keep us vulnerable to coercive control in any community after religion. And if I had to give my unsolicited opinion, and it is unsolicited, nobody asked me for it, but I'm giving it anyway. It's my channel. I can do what I want to. So if I had to give my unsolicited opinion, I'd say the problem at the end of the day, the thing that makes us vulnerable to religious control, the thing that makes us vulnerable to coercive control in any relationship, in any organization, in any community, the thing that makes us most vulnerable from my unsolicited viewpoint is we got trust issues. That's why I put it at. Like, nah, that's the thing. Like we got trust issues. We got trust issues, right? Oh man. Yes. I love that, Kai. I love that's from Tanya Stevens. I'm gonna have to look that up. I know we got trust issues, and I don't even mean in the way that people normally mean. You know, like I got trust issues. I don't trust anybody, and I'm like, no, that's where I live now. No, I used to have trust issues. Now I have trust clarity. Oh, this is good. I used to have trust issues. Now I have trust clarity. Okay. Like now, like I was at an event last year where like I had to say like 3 or 4 times, like, oh no, I don't trust nobody. I don't trust anybody. That's and people say, oh man, you got trust issues. No, I got trust clarity. Now we're gonna talk about that. Okay, because the truth of the matter is we have trust issues for good reason, right? No, you have good reason to have your trust issues. Okay. We were lied to, we were manipulated, we were taught to call fear wisdom, we were taught to call obedience humility, we were taught to call silence pain, we were taught to call submission love, and we were taught to call group faithfulness loyalty, you know, or group loyalty, faithfulness. So it's like, no, I understand why we have trust issues, but I like to get to the root of those trust issues because here's the part that we don't always want to admit. And I'm gonna say it for you. It's okay. You can't look in the mirror and say it. I'm gonna give you the words. We have trust issues for good reason, but it hasn't stopped us from trusting for bad reasons. Yeah, I'm gonna run that back because I want to make sure that hits all of y'all. I want to make sure that hits, whether you're watching live or later. And if it hits you while you're watching later, say, hey, that's me that it hit. No, we have trust issues for good reason, but it hasn't stopped us from trusting for bad reasons. Okay. Because I think sometimes we mislabel our trust issues. You think you not easily trusting people is your trust issue. I'd say your trust issue is you trusting too easily. I didn't mean to clap in the microphone, but it just felt too good for me. Like, no, you think you have trust issues when you do not trust easily. I'd say it's the other way around. No, it's you're trusting too easily that where the trust issues are coming from. And that's just me. That's my perspective. Okay. Because here's something that I don't know if anybody's ever said to you before. Like, it's okay to be reasonable about your trust. It's okay to be reasonable about who you trust, about how you trust, about when you trust. It's okay for you to align your trust with SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time specific. It's okay. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that before, but it's okay for you to be slow with your trust. It's probably best. It's probably in your best interest. Okay. When we talk about trust and when we talk about trust issues, I want to kind of do a callback to yesterday's video. And if you haven't watched yesterday's video, what you doing? Go watch that video. But to give a callback to that, avoid the borrowed certainty trap. Because I think that's what leads to the trust issues. Sometimes the reason we trust too easily is because we're still living in that, I'll call it religious baggage, but honestly, it's more so probably cultural baggage. But we're still living in that baggage of borrowed certainty that I can lean on their confidence. I can lean into their certainty. No, you don't have that certainty. And certainty and confidence is not something that you can borrow. It's something that you can trust only if the metrics of trust have been met. So let's say something that people don't often get to say. I'm not going to trust you just because someone else says you're trustworthy. Is that good, y'all? Ooh, yes. That's right. That's so good, Kai. I cannot afford to be reckless with who I trust. So listen, I'm not going to trust you just because someone else says you're trustworthy. Well, no, they're just such a nice person. Well, no, they're just such a good person. Like, I don't even know what your definition of good means, you know? And watch this. I live in a world where I can sit in the nuance that it is possible for someone to be your hero while still managing to be my villain. Come on now, like you got to sit in that thing. Okay, we got a series that's coming up closer to the end of the year, and it's going to be called Sit in It. And one of the first kind of messages in it is going to be called Take Several Seats. Because the reality is it's not just one or two different things that we need to learn how to sit in. Like with the complexity of the world that we live in, we have to learn how to sit in some stuff. No, no, no. It's possible for someone to be good for you and horrible for others. Did you ever notice that? Like, it's possible for someone, let's go there. It's possible for someone to treat everybody in their friend group wonderfully, to never not have any bad stories about the people in their friend group. And it's still possible for them to, I don't know, let's say assault somebody that's not as high up in the friend group. No, that's still possible. Why would we pretend that we don't live in a world that is there? No, you have to sit in the possibility that somebody that somebody could be nice to everybody until they realize they can get away with something different. That's the reality. I'm not saying everybody does it, but I am saying it's the reality. And in a world of reputation management, I'm not sure if reputation alone is a reliable metric for establishing trust. Your reputation doesn't tell me who you are. Your behavior each time. Your reputation tells me what you did last time with that team. It does not tell me what you're doing this time with this team. I don't care how many rings you helped the last team got. The question is, can you do it here? And if you cannot, and this is the issue with reputation management. Okay, so we're talking about trust and rebuilding it. And again, we have a poll on the screen if you'd like to participate in the question. And the question is, what has been harder for you after religion? What has been harder for you after leaving religion? Has it been trusting people again? Has it been trusting yourself again? Or has it been trusting communities again? Okay, I should put my answer in the chat. I don't know if it'll count if I put my answer in the chat, but I'd say that the hardest one for me, and you just put the number. Oh no, that's not the chat. I'm on the other computer. I forget. But no, I say, and I'm gonna put my number in here before I say it because it got to be dramatic with it. Put my number in there. It's okay. Bam. Mine is in there. Mine is in there. I like the way that happened. I'm also testing this because this Sunday we're starting a new series called Not Safe for Work. And instead of that series being more lecture based, it's going to be more interactive because I don't want to be somebody lecturing grown people on sex. And so it just doesn't feel right. Okay. So what's been harder for me after leaving religion? And I'm going to leave this poll up for a moment. So you feel free to sit on it, and you can answer by dropping the number of your answer in there. So mine was 1, trusting people again. Okay, that's what's been harder for me. And give me a moment. I'm going to get me some water. Got my water. Trusting people again. Okay. And I don't consider that a bad thing. And whichever one you choose, I don't want you to consider it a negative thing. So to me, that's not trust issues. That's trust clarity. See, trusting without reason or refusing to trust without reason is not a trust issue. That's trust clarity. It was trusting without good reason that led to the trust issues. That is the trust issue. When I trusted you because such and such said trust you. When I trusted you because the community said you was good. When I trusted you because the Bible said so. And I'm like, well, oh, no, that's not how trust works. That's not how about trust works, you know? And so for me, the hardest part after leaving religion has been trusting people again, trusting myself again. That took some time, but that's definitely been the easiest, you know? And trusting communities again, woo. I'm going to tell you, man, that one is probably a non-factor for me. And I'm gonna be just as honest as I can. The reason that one is like I wouldn't be building community if I trusted. Oh, y'all don't want to talk to me. No, I wouldn't be building community if I trusted the communities that were out here. I just be a part of those. So trusting communities is not a non-factor for me. This is one of the time. This is one of the reasons why I spend more time in my meetings getting to know people than anything else. Because before we even really, like, we call ourselves a community because that's what we aspire to be. But before we ever really get to be a community, before we can build a trustworthy community, we first have to build a group of trustworthy people. Yeesh. That's good. I didn't mean to go into tongues, but damn it, that's good. Right? Jalapeno, habanero, hell yeah. So for me, trusting people again has been the hardest thing for me. But for me, that's actually liberating. I pat myself on the back. Good for you, Durante, for no longer trusting so quickly like you used to. This is called progress. It doesn't mean that I got to look at everybody like with a visible side eye, but it does mean I am looking at everybody with a peripheral side eye because I just don't know you like that yet, right? And that's again, that's not trust issues. That's trust clarity. That's going to be the message of the day, right? That's going to be the message of the day. Trust issues is trusting without good reason. Trust clarity is reserving trust until the reason demands it. Is that okay? Is that okay? Man. Hey, Kyle, mine was too. Mine was too. No, I get it. Trusting myself again is where the work that mattered yet. Because the truth of the matter is, I won't even have it's what leads to the trust issues of borrowed certainty, of needing to know what other people trust before I trust, is a greater symptom of our inability to trust ourselves. Mhm. And so watch this. Huh. The reason I don't trust people easily is because I do trust me. No. I trust me. And I trust me so good. Listen, y'all. I trust me so good that I don't have to wait till somebody commits physical harm against me for me to be like, hey, this ain't the group of people I want to be around. No. And that bothers the hell out of people. No, it bothers the hell out of people that I can go to a meeting and after that meeting, I can say, hey, listen, thank y'all for having me, but it's going to be a hard pass for me. I don't have to treat red flags like Six Flags just because other people aren't equipped to see them because I trust me. Did you see that, Durante? I did see that. What are you going to do? Are you going to ignore that, Durante? I'm not going to ignore that. All right. So the conditions of trust have not been met. I hope this is I hope this is helping. I hope this is helping. I love it. I love it. So great to see the activity in the chat. So, and again, anybody can participate in the poll. It's on the screen. You answer by putting in your number. What has been harder for you leaving after religion, trusting people again, trusting myself again, and trusting communities again? And there is no right or wrong answer. But if your answer is trusting yourself again, that's where I want the work to be. Before you get back into the habit of outsourcing your trust, because let me tell you something, based off of the behavior of some of the people that are in this community, I've seen there are people trying to get you to outsource your trust instead of saying, hey, I wasn't there and you wasn't there. Let's not jump to any conclusions. It's, hey, I wasn't there, you wasn't there, but here's the story we all put together for you to go by. That but if you can't trust yourself, you shouldn't be trusting nobody else. Okay, you are the most vulnerable. If you can, let's start there. Start with trusting yourself. And you got to test it. You're going to be wrong. Sometimes your spidey sense is going to be going off and you're going to miss a friendship. That's okay. You're not perfect. You listen, trusting anybody before you trust yourself as an adult, in the words of Ian Van Zant, is out of order. Is out of order. You don't, in my humble opinion, I done hit the microphone. In my humble opinion, You don't have the ability to trust other people until you restore your trust in yourself, because you have to be able to measure what you see. You have to be able to measure what you're witnessing. You have to be able to measure what you're experiencing, and you have to be able to trust your ability to look at what you're looking at and call a spade a spade. You know, and so as long as you're outsourcing it, there's always going to be somebody with a better measurement of what you should trust in any community that is using any type of behavior like that. That's like, ooh, red flags, triangulation, and everything. Let's not do that. All right. So and again, the poll is going to be up for a while. Look at there. I see that. Yes. Yes. Here is the story we fabricated for you. Right, like literally, I've gotten emails like that. And I was just like, let me clutch my pearls, apparently. Okay. So I think what we don't realize is that we didn't just leave belief systems. For those of you who left religion, I'm talking to you. Some of you, you didn't leave religion. You were smart enough to never jump in that cesspool. Your parents protected you for somehow. But for the rest of us, you didn't just leave a belief system. You left a trust system. Okay. No, religion doesn't just tell you who to believe. It shapes how you trust. It shapes when you trust. It shapes the condition of your trust. Let everything be established by 2 or 3 witnesses. It shapes the measurements of trust. Well, enough people are saying the same thing, so it must be true. No, that's not how truth works. Not in a community of skepticism and epistemic humility, not in a community that understands logical fallacies and appeal to authorities and appeal to the majority. In this community, we saying stuff like, well, if enough people are saying the same thing, oh, so I guess flat earth is a thing then, huh? Enough people are saying it. No. So we don't outsource our trust. You didn't just leave a belief system. You left a system that trained you, postured you in how to trust, when to trust, why to trust. We left a system that trained us how to trust badly. And that's where our trust issues come from. Our trust issues come from we learn how to trust badly. I'm gonna give you a comical example, but it's a true example. It's comical, but it's true. And that is back in my heyday of doing like content editing and stuff, I'd be editing these preachers videos, and some of them, they were doing a little couples thing, and it was bringing all of the old couples together. Why y'all been married so long? How it worked? Like, how y'all do this? It's just so amazing that 2 people, for whatever reason, managed to live together for 40 years without killing each other. Apparently, that's such a great accomplishment. I think that tells you how bad the state of affairs really are. But no, so I'm editing the video and I'm watching the video at the same time. It's just this beautifully elderly couple, just beautiful, just beautiful. And they're sitting down and they're talking and they just hugging on each other, And I wonder how much of this is for the camera. Not because I'm cynical, but because I'm skeptical. I'm like, I don't know. I know what people do. But anyway, they're there, and the interviewer asked the question, how did you know that he was the one for you? And the lady, she's just beautiful old lady, just glowing, just fabulous. She says, because his shoes matched his shirt. And everybody else was like, oh, that's so cute. And I was like, oh no, hell no, we got a problem. This is why relationships are fucked up today. Is this how we picking people? Because you know how to match your colors? Is this what you mean you want when you say I want what grandma and granddaddy had? Oh no. And it's a comical example, but it's a great example of how we have trained ourselves to trust badly. I know you will be a good person for me in a relationship because your shoes matched your shirt. Okay? Again, that's comical, but that's also how parasocial relationships work. Oh, I know this is a good person because they make good content. When the Bill Cosby thing happened, people are like, man, I'm just so disappointed. he was like, he was supposed to be America's dad. And I'm like, no, playing a good character is not the same thing as demonstrating good character. Like, no, come on now. Like, I think I was one of the few people in America who wasn't shocked. Why? Because I never convinced myself that I knew this person. All right. And so we have to be very careful. Again, parasocial relationships, we have to be very careful when we're allowing ourselves to pretend to know stuff that we don't know. Like, I think it's made people uncomfortable because I say it and I say it not to be mean. I say it to be a safety parameter that we have to live in reality. Like people say, oh, Darante, I just love you so much. I want you to be my role model. Hey, motherfucker, you don't know me like that. You don't know me well enough to want me to be a role model. Don't confuse good content with good character. You know? Don't model yourself after a bald black man with big glasses. Don't do that to yourself. You know, but no, like in all actuality, and I think it's somewhat our responsibility as content creators who are recognizable to consistently draw that line that hey, we don't actually know each other. And again, that makes people uncomfortable. But I think we need to get clear of that. Hey, we don't know each other. We're strangers. I've left entire like shows before anything happens because I'm listening to groupthink. You know, I'm listening to what I call group talk, where the group starts speaking for everybody, and I'm like, we don't know each other enough to have had those conversations where we could feel comfortable just saying those things. So it's not just that church taught us how to believe or religion taught us how to believe. It also taught us how to trust badly. It taught us to trust authority when it sounds confident, to trust community because it feels familiar, to trust reputation because other people approved. And it taught us to trust certainty because uncertainty feels dangerous. Well, you may not know all the details, but I have all the details, and this is the way that I feel. So you should feel the same way that I feel. Well, no, if we're looking at the same details and we come to different conclusions, that means we're at an impasse. It doesn't mean you're automatically right and I should borrow your certainty. We're talking about how to rebuild trust. Okay. Because now, after religion, the work is not simply learning who not to trust. The work is learning how trust should work in the first place. It's realizing that no, my trust doesn't have to be automatic because trust, listen, here we go. Here we go. I'm about to go in your religious baggage. Can I go in your religious baggage? Can I be like Santa Claus and pull out the baggage and pull out the religious baggage that is just for you? Okay. Trust is not a spiritual gift. Okay. It's not just something you were naturally born with. I just know who to trust. No. Mm-mm. Trust is not, what do the young kids say? It's not a vibe, bruh. Trust is not a debt you owe somebody. Okay. No. Nobody's reputation demands your trust. Trust is a judgment. Trust is a practice. Trust is a risk assessment. Trust is access granted over time based on demonstrated ability. I'm going to read that back because I want you to understand it. I want you to hear it. Because when we're talking about rebuilding trust, I don't want to push you back into that trap where you're saying, like, no, I need to be able to trust. I need to be able to trust as easy as I did when I was a believer. No, bro, that's what got you into the believing bullshit in the first place. You know, remember, I told you, like what I had to realize about me was that I believe bullshit. Let me say that another way. I trust too easily. Oh, see, those are trust issues. Those are trust issues. I trust way too easily. Ooh, bruh. Damn, I trusted that quick. I trusted it just because you said it. Now in 2026, I'm trusting it just because you said it. In 2026, I'm trusting it just because you wrote it down. This is one of the reasons I like to tell people the scientific method is not just for the lab, it's for life, baby. It's for life. to be able to recognize the difference between a guess and an educated guess. Right? So, like, one through line that I like to give people when reclaiming, it's not even rebuilding your ability to trust or rebuilding your capacity to trust. It's reclaiming your autonomy to trust. Okay? It's like, I don't know if y'all grew up in poor families, but poor families will force you to trust people. That's just that's the name of the game. That's how bad life is. Like, hey, no, you got to trust these virtual strangers because, like, hey, we got to go to work and we can't afford traditional daycare, so we're gonna drop you off at Miss Lulu house. And you've never met Miss Lulu, and I've never met Miss Lulu. But if you want this relationship with Miss Lulu to be in a good place, you're gonna have to hello. You're going to have to trust. And so I think some of us come from backgrounds where we've had to be forced to trust people that we did not know. And now it has become, a place of problem. Someone says, do you trust US voters? Well, see, no, that's the answer to my question at the top. I don't trust people. I don't feel like I owe them that. But I think I have better reason not to trust US voters. I went through the education system. I went to over 12 different public schools. I saw enough not to trust what those schools was producing. No, I'm one of the few people that I am not shocked when I see ignorant arguments online. I'm like, this is your first time seeing that people don't think things all the way through. No, I went to 4 different high schools, bro. I got a nice view. And so no, I don't trust I don't trust anybody I don't know, you know? So it's like again, kind of one of the through lines into this is that I don't have to trust you because someone else does. Like, there may have been a time in society where I had to do that. There may have been a time in my life where I had to do that, you know, but now I don't. Hopefully we don't drive ourselves into, a major civilizational crash, which, like, that could be on the bingo cards just because of the way things are going. But if we don't do that, then we actually have the space and the responsibility to do trust right. So it's not just about rebuilding trust, or it's not just about rebuilding our capacity to trust. It's about reclaiming our autonomy to trust, that my trust doesn't have to be automatic. My trust shouldn't be automatic, nor should my distrust have to be authorized. This is so good. See, it's reclaiming the autonomy that my trust does not have to be automatic and my distrust does not need to be authorized. I don't need anybody else to authorize my distrust. And that's tried to happen. That's been trying to happen several times with me. Well, Darante, why you don't want to work with these people? I don't trust that environment. Well, we trust that environment. Well, who asked you about your trust? No. I don't have to wait for the red flag for the 6 flags to become red flags. I can pay attention to them. Like, just because it's 6 of them don't mean it's a good thing. 1 red flag is bad enough. You see 6 red flags. Hello. No. All right. So I want to talk about 5 trust issues after religion. I do hope we get better, man. Oh, I hope we get better. Who? Yes, a moment to reclaim first. That is so good. All right. So let's look at this. 5 trust issues after religion. And I'm gonna try to go through these. Oh, I've only been here for 40 minutes. I feel like I've been here longer. All right. Number 1, these are just, and this ain't for everybody. If it ain't for you, you be like, nah, I wouldn't. That wasn't me. All right, then go tell your story. All right. Whoa, Kimo Sabi. Don't forget the poll is up. What was harder for you after leaving religion? Right now, it looks like 1 in 3 are tied. 1 in 3 are tied. All right. What's harder for you? What's up, Jude? What was harder for you after leaving religion? Trusting people, trusting yourself, our trusting communities. All right. So let's talk about some of these trust issues that we get from religion. And just to kind of recap, not trusting people without good reason is not a trust issue. That's called trust clarity. The trust issue that leads to coercive control, or the trust issue that makes us vulnerable to controlling environments, controlling communities, and ultimately controlling relationships, is trusting without good reason. Trusting without good reason is the trust issue. Okay. And so, looking at it from the context of religion, one of those things we were taught to do in religion, one of those trust issues, and maybe you weren't taught, but we just talking, okay? We were trained to trust authority before evidence. Okay. I don't even know how many religions are produced. I don't, as far as the Christian religion, I don't know how many churches. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen churches really build conversations around the evidence for Christianity. No, you're taught to trust the authority. You know, you'll have to try. You're taught to trust the authority before the evidence. As a matter of fact, you're given the authority long before you're given the evidence. And many people don't recognize this with religion, because in religion, we think the authority is the preacher. But the majority of us, many of us by far and large, didn't go to just one church. So which preacher had the authority? But in religion, the authority isn't the preacher. Are you ready for this? In religion, the authority isn't the preacher, the authority is the culture. And so the culture had already established a few things for you long before you decided to identify as a believer in most cases. And that was that there is absolutely a God, because everybody believes in a God, and the only people that don't believe in a God are bad people. And then the second thing is that this God is good. That's not just a religious message or ideology, it's culture. And when I say it's culture, as in it permeated our media, it permeated our news, it permeated our other fantasies and our other mythologies, that there is a omniscient and omnibenevolent being, all good, all seeing, and then a little all powerful, who's out there looking for your good. This, you weren't just taught this from the preachers. As a matter of fact, check this out. If it was just the preacher saying it and not the culture saying it, we probably would have looked at it cross-eyed. But the preachers were I don't want to say only, but the preachers were reinforcing the imagery, the language, and the narrative that we were already hearing in culture. And so by the time we go to the church and the preacher says Jesus was born and died and rose again, we're not even asking for where the evidence is, because we've already accepted the cultural authority on the matter. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to go this far. Ooh, yes. And if the evidence contradicts the authority, you're taught to assume you must be missing something. See, that's so good, because that fits not just with our religious deconstruction, that fits, again, it's no good to recognize the harm in religion if we can't recognize it in our other relationships. And that's just a perfect way to say that. That cultural authority is focused on the youth. Absolutely. The peer pressure is strong. All right. So in high control religion, trust flows downward, not outward. Trust is not something you have the autonomy or the agency to decide for yourself. In religion, trust is almost treated like learning to swim. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just going to throw you in the water whether you trust me or not. Whether you think you can swim or not, I'm just going to throw you in there. So trust in religion often flows downward. It isn't cultivated inward and outward. It isn't cultivated on the inside and then something that it's not a muscle you develop. See, this is what leads to the trust issues. In religious training and cultural training, Like when somebody tells you, hey, if you step on the crack, you're gonna break your mama's back. You don't get to train the muscle of saying, now, how does that work? And why should I trust that? No, see, it goes deeper than that. When mommy and daddy says, "Hey, the tooth fairy's coming, and the tooth fairy is going to give you some money for your teeth," you're not trained to shape that muscle to say, "What would fairies need with human teeth, and why would they have human money? What job is the fairy working where they're getting human money? And if they can just make human money magically, why they got to take my dang teeth to get the money?" Again, it's comical, it's small, but it's showing you ways that trust is developed downward. It's not, let me tell you what to trust, and while raising you up, let me teach you different ways not to use that muscle. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's a grand conspiracy. I'm suggesting these are the sociological results of living in a society that has been so steeped in religious superstition and again, cultural superstition. This is what we get. This is what we get. The thing that led to my outing at the Christian, the last, well, wasn't the last one, but the second to the last Christian organization that I worked for, the thing that led to my outing was I made a negative statement about Santa Claus. And I'm like, nah, this brother don't believe in Santa Claus. We know he don't believe in Jesus. Because it's like the Jesus Claus. It's like Santa Christ. They work hand in hand, you know? But I said, I was the negative statement I made is that I was noticing that we have an entitlement problem among some youth, and at the time I wasn't just talking about people incredibly younger than me. I was talking about the youth that I grew up with, that we have an entitlement problem, and it may come, I ain't even got to the Jesus character yet. Like it may come with our relationship with Santa, because we have children harshly judging their parents for what they cannot deliver, while their parents are simultaneously telling them, "Hey, you deserve all of these, rich and fabulous gifts from this fat guy who's magical just because you here." And I am going to, instead of connecting you to the fact that mama's working 2 jobs overtime to afford this, I'm going to tell you that it's all magical, and then somehow be upset with you when you don't appreciate me. Well, you robbed me of the ability to appreciate you by foregoing your credit to the superstition. I know there's plenty of parents like, I just don't know why my kids don't respect me. You taught them to respect everything except for you. Okay. So high control religion. I'm sorry, y'all. We're just going there a little bit. It's just going there a little bit. Yes. In the same ways we teach folklore, we should have a healthy conversation about when it's time to part ways with them. So instead of trust being something that's been developed, that we've been able to develop that muscle for, trust has been something that flows downward. The pastor will tell you who to trust. The elders will tell you what to trust. The Bible is going to tell you what to trust. The tradition will tell you what to trust, or the group will tell you what to trust. You're not taught to ask, is this person trustworthy? Because there's always someone trying to get you to borrow their certainty, to borrow their confidence. You're not taught to ask, is this person safe for me? You're taught to ask, are they in a trusted position? And then that's the dangerous thing, because then positions, the reality is, and here's another moment where we can just sit in it. we could just sit in it. Right, Kai. Well, I give you the presents. Like, why should some mythological dude get all the credit? You know? Ooh, that's right. So, like, the nuance that we have to learn how to sit with is positions can be occupied by unsafe people. Like, that's the reality. I don't care how much of our label shares. I'm like, this at the last event I was at, or the last big event I was at, I guess is how you say it. But as I told people, like, oh, I don't trust people. Like the way y'all run up to people like y'all just know these people and you've never seen these people before. You've only seen these people online, and I'm a little concerned that that's even the way we're cultivating this environment, which is come see this person as opposed to come get this information, as opposed to come be a part of this community. Like I'm like, ooh, I don't know if we're doing that on purpose. But to me, and it's just somebody who comes from the church world, I mean, don't mind me. What do I have? 2 decades of experience in mega churches. I mean, that's nothing, right? But to me, I'm like, that might not be great. Okay. So titles, and hear this good, titles don't create character. Platforms don't create integrity. Popularity does not create accountability. Just because the circle is popular does not mean the circle is accountable. How do you even define accountability? A person can have a microphone and still lack maturity. A person can have a following and still be unsaved. A person can have a reputation and still be reckless. A person can be loved by your community and still be harmful behind closed doors. Like that shouldn't, like to me, the moment someone gets into incredulity, well, I just can't believe such and such would ever do something like this. I know that we've already left the realm in logic. I live in a nice middle class neighborhood. And if you told me that one of my neighbors was running sex slaves in their dungeon, I'd be like, you know what, that's a possibility. So anytime I see people like, oh no, that's not possible, I'm like, what in the world do you live in? I bleeped my own self there. I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good at this. Ooh. Sooner or later they become the villains. That is so true. Yes. That's so true. Some of my greatest heroes became the villains of their own people. Not intentionally, but it's like we have to let go of that hero fetishism. You know? There's so much to unpack in that. There's so shout out to Harvey Dent. Yes. There's so much to unpack in that. Well, like I tell people, cults aren't built from the top down. They're built from the bottom up. Okay. No one person should have all that power. Right. The quote is no one man should have all that power, but I be trying to watch my gender normative language sometimes. I be trying. It don't always come out right. Okay. So we often fall for the ornamental because we were never looking for the functional. And that's what I mean when I say we trust too easily. So we say, I trusted somebody. And like, what if every time you said, I trusted, somebody stopped and asked, okay, what were the metrics of that validated your trust? That's such an uncomfortable place to be put in, right? Well, like I really trusted these people. What information did you have that demonstrated that these people were trustworthy? What had you observed that said these people were trustworthy? Ooh, now see, that's a different questions. That's like I don't know what I observed. I thought they were trustworthy because what Darante comes on like every Tuesday and every Thursday, then he's live on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And the information he shares is so helpful to me. Okay, what part of that gave you any insight into Darante's character as a person? Don't Bill Cosby me. I feel like that's so bad, but the comedic side in me feels like that's so accurate. No, you don't know who I am beyond the content. And I do my best not to allow people to have parasocial relationships with me. I don't want you to listen. I'll let you know. I'm not that great. I'm a bit of a jackass. I am. I really, really am. I can't help it. I grew up listening to Richard Pryor, Robin Harris. Oh, I make jokes when jokes are not appropriate. This is why when even as a preacher, I couldn't sit in the pulpit. I had to be one of them churches. Well, let me sit in the front row so nobody can see my face. Okay. I was at a funeral one time, sitting in the pulpit because one of them traditional churches. And I'm like, I shouldn't be up here. I'm sitting in a funeral and somebody's cell phone go off and it's hello from the other side. Oh, this face? This face? Oh, bro, let me get up. Let me get up right dang now. All right. Whew, this is good. So no, sometimes we fall for the ornamental because we were not looking for the functional. But when you start paying attention to the functional, you will probably realize why your boy don't stay in rooms that long. Because the thing is, ornaments are pretty to look at and nice to hold, but they are not capable of holding you. This is good. All right. Ornaments are pretty to look at and they're nice to hold, but an organization, a community, a relationship that is ornamental is pretty to look at, it's nice to hold, but it is absolutely incapable of holding anybody. And so when I look at partnering with other people, when I look at working with other people, I am not looking at how many subscribers they have. I'm not looking at how many people like them and think that they're just the greatest things since bee's knees. Most names that have been introduced to me, I'm like, who the hell is that? I don't know these people because I'm not looking for what's shiny. I'm looking for what's substantive. I'm not looking for what's shiny. I'm looking for what's significant. I'm not looking for what's ornamental. I want to know what is functional. Okay? How is this holding people? Who can you hold? There's a song I grew up in. Who can I run to? Who can I run to? Hey, boom, who can I run to when I need love? All that. No, who can run into us and be held? And if what we're building can't hold people, it's shiny, it's pretty to look at. Okay? It's nice to hold, but that is fragile. It be dropped one time and it's going anywhere. Oh, escape, yes, indeed. Oh, yes, and that's right. Who someone is on stage is not necessarily them off stage. Like I think what people would be aggravated about with me. Okay, if you got to spend a day with me, you'd probably think, oh man, spending a day with Darante, we're gonna be talking the whole day. Let me put it to you this way: if we're talking the whole day, that means I'm not getting a chance to think. That means I'm not getting a chance to type. That means I'm not getting a chance to work. I'm not going to have fun with that. That's one of the things that pushed me out of a few friendships I had. Like I'm a jerk. I'm a jackass. Like in a good way though. Like I'm never like I'm not hard on people. I realize I don't have I don't have the right to be hard on people. I had a friend reached out to me one time and he was like, "Hey man, I quit this job," and it was a job that I'd help him get. And he was like, I don't want you to be disappointed in me." And I'm like, "Hey, dude, we didn't have no appointment for me to be disappointed in you. This is about your life, not about you pleasing me. You got to do what works for you." But I realized like I was spending a lot of time with my friends, and the only thing they wanted to do was just talk. And we do a lot of talking, and the conversations were good. We talk and we smoke, and then I drink, and then we talk, and then we smoke, and then I drink. And I'm like, hey, this ain't actually what I like to do. I mean, I like to smoke and I like to drink and I don't mind the talking, but and like this may be a bad thing, but I'm hyper productive. So I actually like to get shit done. And it's not even just the fact of liking to work. I like to be able to look at my shelf and say, damn, I did that. Because this is personal. I lived I lived such a long part of my life never getting anything done because I was waiting on the validation and the support and the encouragement of other people. But in 2014, when I lost my religion, if you will, in 2014, I made the decision that I'm going to start doing things not just for other people. I'm going to get it done because it's important to me. Because in doing so, I'm building the skills that help me get better at the things that are important to me. I didn't mean to take that long rabbit trail. Oh, man. But again, the big point is we often fall for the ornamental because we're not looking for the functional. How does this functional? How does this function? Be careful with any group who does more virtue signaling than care building. Because, like, one of my biggest issues with virtue signaling is that it's never building anything behind it that can care for the people that we're signaling for. And to me, that's no different than seeing somebody homeless and saying, hey, let me get my camera out and put the camera on them and say, look, this person is homeless. We should be ashamed that there are people this dirty and this grimy and this stinking out here. This is just horrible. Look at them. Like, well, that's not helping anybody. Like, even if you're not being obvious by saying things that way, like, that's just the way that I look at it when I see it. It's like, because then, oh, the functional goal is just to create awareness or just to call attention. It is not to connect awareness to action. Ah, man. Ooh, yes. No, it's hard. Like building new habits is hard. And so it's the first place, and that's why I say for me, it's the first place for anybody is getting to the place where you can trust yourself and not let anybody shake you off of that. Like, I've had several people to tell me that I should look at things differently. And I'm kind of like Kendrick Lamar. I'll cut my own granny off if she don't see it like I see it. And have. Well, you got the wrong one. I trust myself. What's that song? I think the song is like, I love myself. But for me, I trust myself. I don't know the riffs, but it's heavy guitar. I trust myself. Oh, did I hear that on a video game? But no, I know I trust myself. And you know what makes it easy for me to trust myself is that I can live with me. Yep. And the thing is, I know I'm going to be graceful to me. If I realize a few steps down the line, dang it, you actually missed it on that one. See, that's what makes it easy for me to trust myself. The fact that I know, that I love myself and that I'm going to be graceful with myself makes it really easy for me to trust myself. I don't know you, so I can't trust you over trusting me. I remember some big name in the atheist community called themselves like leaving a whole diatribe on one of my things one time. And I'm like, hey, bro, you and I have never had a conversation before in our lives. I don't know you. I like, my mind immediately goes to stranger danger. It also goes to some negatively funny stuff too, but I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want to besmirch anybody today. All right. So dang, I done been in this point way too long. So one of the first trust skills after religion is learning to separate status from trustworthiness. You're I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna end, Like, no, that's real. Status is what people give you. Trustworthy is what your behavior proves. And so, like, when it comes to trust, hey, don't you trust me? Like, your behavior may be impeccable. I don't know that yet because I don't know you. I don't know you. No, I don't. No. All right, so that was number one. Hopefully, we won't stay through the rest of these this long because that was like 30 minutes in one point. I think like 20 minutes. Oh man. All right, so number one, we're confused. We're trained to confuse familiarity with safety. So many bops in this stream. So, like, this is why, like, I can't wait till our music team is just like on a whole nother level because it is like our stuff is gonna be off the chain. But we were trying to confuse familiarity with safety. So a lot of people leave religion and start like, and it's natural. You start looking for a new home. People leaving high control religion often seek a replacement belonging structure. And when that new structure becomes the place where harm is managed, desired, or are denied or politicized, then the betrayal can feel existential rather than merely interpersonal. And this topic means a lot to me because I have people who I'd identify with as friendly, people who I'd identify with as associate who are now dealing with some type of existential crisis because of unchecked bad behavior in this community, and it's been heartbreaking for me. And so one of the things that I want to really really do is make sure that I'm contributing something to the conversation that makes it harder for all of us to fall back in those traps. I've been in that place where my life was controlled by the pressure of other people. I've been in that place where my life was controlled by somebody else's viewpoint, perspective, religious doctrine, authority, and all of that stuff. And that's not something that I want to see humanity get stuck in anymore under anybody's label. It's not a healthy place to be. So when you've lost your church, when you've lost your family, your certainty, your map, your language, your rituals, like, and your community, the first place that makes you feel sane can often feel like salvation. And that's one thing that, like, listen, y'all, we try to do, like, we try to go out of our way to not make Bridge City feel like salvation. Oh, okay, this is good. Bridge City is not salvation. It's Star Trek. Oh, I should have put more oil in my beard so I could be shiny right now. No, 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 no. Bridge City is not salvation. You don't come to Bridge City to get saved. We ain't got it together enough to save anybody. Bridge City is Star Trek. It's like Discovery. It's like Enterprise. Y'all don't hear me out there. It's like The Next Generation. Okay, come on now. It's like Deep Space Nine. Okay, maybe that one doesn't work. God, see you Sunday, Jude. Maybe that one doesn't work, but it isn't a place. I try not to present Bridge City as a place where you come in and you're saved from everything that's on in the world. Like, nah, that's not what it is. It's the place that you come and we try to figure this out together, and we commit to taking back that agency. We commit to taking back our autonomy. We commit to taking back that responsibility to sit in the discomfort of differences, whether they're different opinions, different ideologies, different ways that we show up in the world, because we have to find a better way of navigating that. But once you leave religion, it's really easy to look for the most familiar institution you can find. And the problem with that is then we build our relationships with people over what we left instead of what we're trying to build. And just to give you the most non-technical version of what that is, I'm going to call that a trauma bond. I don't know why I'm doing spread eagle right now, but it just feels right. It feels right. All right. It's a trauma bond. And like, I've been calling this out for months now. It's like, oh no, we're not going to build healthy ecosystems if the ecosystems we're building are about incentivizing rage or about incentivizing trauma. It's like, and I say this because I have experience here. Again, 2 decades in ministry. I don't know, maybe that doesn't count for anything, but I know there's a difference between churches that I'm just talking about from a sociological perspective. There's a difference between churches who focuses on what they lost and churches who focuses on what they're winning. There's a difference in the culture. There's a difference in the climate. Maybe it's just something in the water. Okay. But no, there is a difference. We typically become what we focus on. Now, if the thing that we're focusing on is how bad we've lost and how much we've lost, then that's the story that we're invested in telling. And so we're incentivizing other people. Like, that's why at churches, like, you notice the testimonies, especially the churches that focused on that. Not a lot did. This is a very subculture of church, but the churches that did focus on like the negative testimonies, the testimonies got more and more outrageously negative in order to sustain the ecosystem. Okay. So like, when we come out of religion finding any place where everybody's talking the same language about the trauma or talking the same language about the pain, it's really easy for that to feel familiar and to kind of mimic what we thought we were getting from community. And I just want to tell you that community is much deeper than familiarity, because feeling seen is not the same as being safe. Feeling welcomed is not the same as being protected. And feeling understood is not the same as being respected. Mm. Feeling like these are my people is not the same as those people having the maturity to handle power, to handle conflict, to handle harm, to handle sex, money, reputation, or accountability. Not believing in God doesn't automatically make you Dr. Manhattan. You don't like now that just because you not believing in an omniscient being doesn't make you now the omniscient being. You know, for all the reasons we can identify God is not omniscient, we should at least be able to do the same things with ourselves. And I say that just to say, like, we don't get to, and this is the trust issue thing. We don't get to say, hey, you're an atheist, good, you must be one of the good guys. That's not how that works. Knowing the label is not the same as knowing something. Damn, I hope this is helping. Okay. And that's why, watch this, that's why the hard work after leaving religion is to stop confusing immediate belonging with earned trust. Okay. Just because I feel like I belong immediately doesn't mean that we have a situation of earned trust. Number 3, and this is the one that I talk about a lot, so I'll try not to spend too much time on it, but we were trained to borrow certainty from the group. You know, borrowed certainty says, I know these people are good because my group says they're good. I know they're bad because my group says they're bad. I know what happened because the people I like already explained it. I know who to believe because I know whose side I'm on. Let me tell you what that's actually called. That's not discernment, that's not understanding, that's not comprehension, that is outsourcing. That is outsourcing. None of those are valid ways of knowing something. That's borrowed certainty. And like one of the most dangerous things is after religion is when people reject religious authority but still keep the same relationship to group certainty. You know, so they're no longer saying, you know, the pastor said it, so it must be true. Now they're saying, well, the community says it, so it must be true. Well, that's just not how truth works. They're no longer saying, you know, the Bible says, and now they say, well, everybody knows. Well, again, that's just not how truth works. They don't say touch not mine anointed anymore. They say, why are you platforming criticism of someone who has done so much good? Well, that is not the matter at hand. See, it's the same architecture, but it's different wallpaper. Borrowed certainty doesn't stop being borrowed certainty just because the vocabulary changes. All right. And then number four. Oh, this is good. Being an atheist and giving yourself humanist labels isn't a qualification for education or the authority on morality. It's absolutely not. Number 4, we were trained to treat doubt as betrayal. All right. So again, high control systems don't just tell you what to believe, they train your emotional response to questioning. So questions feel dangerous, complexity feels disloyal, nuance feels like compromise. Well, there's just no other way to look at it than this other way. Well, there is another way to look at it because I got eyes too. And if I'm telling you that I look at it differently than you look at it, and then you're telling me it's impossible, I know we're no longer dealing in the realm of logic. Okay, so no, when nuance feels like compromise, we're leaving community and going into control. When uncertainty feels like weakness. And see, and that doesn't disappear just because you leave religion. People can leave church and still panic when someone asks a careful question about their new group. You know? Well, what are y'all doing over there at Bridge City? Don't panic, just answer the question. Ain't nothing to hide. All right, we have movie nights. We do what people do. You can leave church and still feel like disagreement is danger. And that's one of the things I pay attention to. I pay attention to how people deal with disagreement. That's one of the things I've probably been most disappointed by is that, oh, this is a community where people aren't allowed to disagree with the common thread. If you disagree with the common thread, then there's a label that's attached to you. Oh, that's fun. Okay. Because that means we're still operating out of that sense of disagreement equals danger. You don't see it like I see it, you must hate me. You don't see it like I see it, you must want me to die. And like building up an entire climate, our entire culture in that climate. As the sociologist in the room, I'm going to say that that's not wise. It's not wise. I wouldn't do that. Indubitably. I just like that word. You deliberately disobeyed me. I also like doing that. So, mature trust requires the ability to ask questions without turning questions into betrayal. If my questions are betrayal, then you're already letting me know what I'm betraying. And it ain't trust, you know? And it's not about weaponizing doubt. It means refusing to let loyalty replace reality. Okay. Number 5, and this is the 5th issue. I was just supposed to be going through 5 issues, and I spent 30 minutes on one issue. And I still have a whole nother section after this. But we were trained to trust people who gave us identity. And that's the one that we got to pay attention to. Religion didn't it didn't only tell people what was true, it told them who they were. You're chosen, you're saved, you're set apart, you're anointed, you're covered, you're part of the family, you're part of the remnant, you're part of the truth. You're part of the truth. So when people leave religion, they may become vulnerable to any group that gives them a new identity quickly. So it's like, hey, you're one of us. You get it. You're on the right side. You escaped that harmful cult. You're so much better than those other people. What's up, Brittany? You escaped what the others are still trapped in. And honestly, that can feel empowering at first. Like a lot of my first conversations was just overwhelmed at how many people have made it out and have lived to tell the story. And then after a while, it gets unimpressive. It gets unimpressive. Hey, and I'll warn you first. I was actually just going to put you in timeout, Sunchi. I was going to put you in timeout. Like I have a policy here where I really ask people to stay on topic. And listen, and that's this. You may not be meaning to do this, Sunchi, but like the topic is on the screen, the chat is going. You can clearly see what we're talking about. I'm going to assume your ears work because you're on YouTube. I told you I got a little dark side, but I'm assuming your ears work so you know what the conversation is and you know what the conversation isn't. So if that's the conversation you want to have, I'd love to direct you to another channel. But if I see another comment in there that's about debating atheism or anything like that, because this is clearly not that conversation, it's not something I'll go back and forth with you. I recognize when somebody's operating out of order, So no, this isn't that place. Now, there are places that are desperate for people to call in and talk about stuff like that. I would encourage you to go there, but I don't even know if they're safe. I got to be honest with you. But thank you for taking that in good faith. See, I'm glad I didn't remove you. I'm glad and thank you for handling me being a jackass. Because that's what I'm gonna do. This is my channel. But see, the thing is about me, yes, I'm gonna be a jackass, but I'm never gonna be a dumbass because I'm too much of a smartass. You see how I did that? You see what happened there? But no, thank you. And I do appreciate you for being a good sport. All right. But no, so it can feel empowering to be like, oh yeah, we all made it out. And it felt good to me to be around so many other people who were vocally sharing their stories. And yes, we made it out of this, But then for me, and again, this goes from that ornamental to functional. I'm like, yeah, but what's next though? Where do we go from here? Like, because I didn't come out of that just to stay stuck. Life don't look just so good. And I like, for some people, it's like they just stop believing in Jesus and they whole life, just everything is so much better now. And I'm like, no, it's still America, bro. This is America. No, we still where we at. The problems that exist are still here. And so I'm it's so overwhelming to see how many people are coming out. But this becomes dangerous if your identity becomes dependent on who we're loyal to, because once a group becomes the source of your identity, leaving the group feels like losing yourself again. And that's where parasocial relationships matter. You know, parasocial relationships matter because after religion, a lot of people don't just find new communities, they find new voices. They find new creators, new hosts, new commentators, new people who help them make sense of the world. And that is a part of what I do. What I provide is a secular, a humanistic, a naturalistic, a materialistic hermeneutic for people who are trying to do life without religious superstition. It's not necessarily just for people who are trying to do life against superstition. I don't even know how you do that as a life, but I do provide a hermeneutic, a way to interpret the world around you where you don't have to pull on scriptures, on doctrine, or dogma, and I do my best. I could do better. So I don't want to call it best, but I do a decent job of pointing to the psychological and sociological implications of these things so we can all grow together. But at the same time, I have to constantly draw that line and say, I cannot be anybody's voice of truth. And that's the religious baggage we have to reject with everything that's in us. They're like, no, I'm not expecting anybody to be my voice of truth. I am never sitting at home thinking, I wonder what such and such thinks about this. I don't need to know what they think about it. Oh, I hope this is helping y'all. So no, other people can exist as reference points, but nobody should really be our guides. I'm here to help you use your eyes to see it better. I'm here to help you use your voice to voice it better. I am not here to give you my eyes and my voice. I hope this is helping somebody. Okay? So it's nothing wrong with learning from someone online in community or in leadership. There's nothing wrong with being helped by a voice that gave you language when you were grieving, deconstructing, or trying to rebuild your life. But a parasocial relationship becomes dangerous when emotional familiarity starts feeling like relational access. Oh, this is good. Ooh. Yes. Oh, and like Brittany, that's still one of my favorite core memories. All right. Okay. Man. Somebody said, I look at, yes, Black Swan, I look at believers as victims of their indoctrination. No need to be hostile. That's right. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, man. This is helping. This is good. John P. Key, don't get me foot stomping in here. I have my mention now, cause I believe. Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all just don't understand. Like them foot stomping, hand clapping. Oh, take me back to the days. But listen, like you can know my voice, but you don't know my character, right? You can know my story, but it doesn't mean you know my private patterns. You may feel like I've somehow helped save your life, but that doesn't mean I get unquestioned trust. You can feel connected to me, but connection is not the same as accountability. And this is especially important after religion because many of us were trained to attach deeply to voices on a platform. We know how to trust the preacher, the teacher, the prophet, the worship leader, the apologist, the elder, the person with the microphone. There's just so many people to trust. And so if we're not careful, we can leave the pulpit and recreate the pulpit with a podcast, a YouTube channel, a Discord server, a live stream, or a creator community. I stay away from anybody who kind of presents a God's eye view of other people. You know, I remember getting a call when a fellow content creator was going through something, and somebody from a show that I was on, they just called me and said, "Hey," or sent me a text message or a voice message, and it was just like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that you're not going to be negatively impacted by anything that's happening with that person." And my first thought was like, "Ooh, why should I?" Like, I'm weird like that. That's what I'm like. Why would anything they got going on have anything to do with me in that type of way? And it was like, and then also, I think they're just doing this because they're trying to build up their channel so they can be on something like Joe Rogan one day. And I was like, oh, so we hating now? Is like, because why would I care? Why would I be that invested in somebody else's future possibility of success, or what may have you, however you may look at that, where I'm saying, no, if one day that person is going to be on Joe Rogan, they have to be stopped now. Wow, did we just go back into Dirty Dancing? That's what it feels like. It feels like we're in that town. Actually, it feels a little bit more like we're in River City, where we've got trouble right here in River City with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. You got to grow up on musicals to know a little something about that. But no, which I did think Family Guy did that too. But at the end of the day, it's like, again, it's the same architecture. It's a different wallpaper. A creator can be meaningful without becoming your moral authority. That's one of the things that we try to do different with leadership at Bridge City. Nobody in Bridge City who's a leader has any authority over anybody else. Like, I ain't got no authority. I don't have authority. Leaders in Bridge City don't have authorities. It's unnecessary, number one. Leaders, especially at this juncture, it's unnecessary. So leaders at Bridge City are not people who signed up to have authority. I feel bad for the leaders at Bridge City, because it's for people who signed up for responsibility. In my humble worldview, authority over other people is always an illusion. And I'd rather build community structure that doesn't require it. You're not a leader at Bridge City because you have authority over somebody. You're a leader at Bridge City because you signed up to be responsible for some part of what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, this is good. So this is where high control social systems can get power. It's not always through formal rules. And it's like I say, cults aren't built from the top down. Cults are built from the bottom up. And most of the times it happens through belonging. And this is what I call, are you ready for this? A high control social ecology. A high control social ecology. That's a decentralized network where influence, access, loyalty, reputation, and audience pressure can create cult-like effects without a formal cult-like structure. And the reason I'm highlighting this, because everybody thinks cults have to be organized. Everybody thinks cults have to be led. And I'm like, no, cults just have to be participated in. The moment we're participating in cult-like behavior, we've made it possible to create it. And at the end of the day, it comes from that borrowed certainty. I'm not 100% sure if this is right or wrong, but if enough people can tell me that it is, that's enough to convince me to act. And it's like, oh, be very careful. Be very careful. Yes. And like I cannot disagree with you, Ash. I want to disagree, but I can't. I can't. Oh man. Can nature rebuild trust in spirituality after religion? I don't think there's any need to trust in spirituality. Like that would be where my mind would go. Um, I think spirituality again is a word that people use for the things that they don't understand. And again, to me, that's the borrowed certainty. Is that well, there has to be something spiritual. Why? Until we can demonstrate it. And I think I was saying this on a live that I was with yesterday. Until we can demonstrate it, we're just doing the same thing we did with religion. Well, this has to be because so many people believe it is. But that's not actually how you determine what has to be. What has to be, if something has to be, that means there are other things that exist because of it. But you can only get there based off of measurement. So let's end this with a reasonable, have a great day, Kai, with a reasonable trust framework, because that's been the really big, one of the big undercurrents for this conversation is that you have the right to be reasonable with your trust. And again, if you grew up in a Poe family like I did, then many times you think that trust is automatic and distrust has to be authorized. You know, like I grew up in a highly racialized context. And I remember, telling my guardians that, hey, my teachers are actually saying things that are not true about me. And they're right now, them teachers ain't got no reason to lie. See, my distrust had not been authorized. You see what I'm saying? So trust is supposed to be automatic and distrust has to be authorized. Someone has to give you permission to say like, I you have to, your distrust has to be authorized. So let me give it to you this way. There are 4 levels of trust. And the first one, and this is my favorite one. This is my favorite one. Basic human respect. That's something everybody gets from me. Everybody gets basic dignity. And when I say everybody, I literally mean everybody. The people who have done the most foul things to me never get downgraded to being less than a stranger. That's the lowest you can go on my totem pole in my totem pole of relationships. The lowest you can get to on my totem pole is you're a stranger. And the good news about that is I treat strangers very kind. I wave, hey, how you doing? I say things like, hey, nice to see you. But I keep it trucking right after that. No, so and that's a commitment I made. I intentionally made almost a decade ago, where like the worst you can go on my totem pole is a stranger. And so like the worst you could be treated by me is I'm just gonna have to treat you with the kindness of a stranger. As long as you're not actively violating a boundary or something like that, then jackass come out. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, try to treat everybody with the kindness of a stranger. That's just like the basic level. What that means is that doesn't mean everybody gets closeness. A lot of people don't get closeness. That doesn't mean everybody get access. A lot of people don't get access. That doesn't mean everybody gets influence. I remember telling my wife a few years ago, I said, hey, if I honestly have to pull this out of the mud, I'm just looking at things mathematically. It's going to change who can come in and get a seat later on. Like there's certain people you can't just show up and get a seat after I've pulled this out of the mud. You're going to have to go through the process. Y'all ain't ready for this. All right. So everybody doesn't get influence. Everybody doesn't get access. Everybody doesn't get closeness. Everybody gets basic human respect. Everybody gets basic human respect. And that means like, I don't have to dehumanize you to have boundaries with you. The second one is situational trust. Okay. I may trust you in one area, but not another one. And this is the weirdest thing about parasocial relationships with me. This is the weirdest thing. Because like when you go and you get something done by your mechanic, you never say, man, you are so good at working on cars. Hey, why don't you work on my children too? Maybe some of you do, but that's not a good thing to do. All right. Situational trust is I can trust you in one area, but not another. I may trust you to be funny, but just because I trust you to be funny doesn't mean I trust you to be emotionally safe. I may trust you to teach history, but not trust you to handle conflict. I may trust you to lead a project, but not trust you to manage vulnerability. Watch this. I may trust you in public and not trust you in private. And watch this. That's not hypocrisy. That's discernment, you know? So I may trust you to make good content, but not to manage my vulnerability, you know? All right. So, Sunchild, I'm gonna time you out for a moment. I'm gonna time you out. I hate to do it, but I asked you to kind of stay on topic and you kind of trying to seed this spirituality conversation. I have content on spirituality, and you can go watch that. Or again, there are people having this open conversation. This is one of the things, and I'm not gonna lie, that aggravated me the most about being a part of the atheist community. It attracts people who cannot respect the conversation that is being had. And I'm sorry, I don't find that healthy or productive, especially when there's like millions of channels on YouTube. And so here's the thing, find the one that's talking about the things that you're wanting to talk about, y'all. Please do that. All right. So, level 3, relational trust. This is earned over time through consistency, through repair, through honesty, through boundaries, and through respect. You know, it's earned over time through consistency, repair, honesty, boundaries, and respect. This is the part that parasocial relationships skip. This is the part where I say we're giving people relational trust while only having basic human dignity relationships. Like, no. I'm giving you relational trust. And we've never had the time together to develop consistency. We've never run into an issue that we had to repair. I've never seen you be put in a situation of whether you had the opportunity to be honest or dishonest. I've never been in a situation with you where I've had to ask you to respect my boundaries. And so if I don't have any of those, watch this, I don't have any reasonable reason to trust you at the relational level of trust. I can trust you as a human being to the extent that I can say, hey, hey, hey. No, I can trust you enough to say, hey, that's basic human respect. I can trust you enough to not ignore you on the street. That's basic human respect. But if I've not built any relationship with you, you're good, Black Swan. If I'm not in relationship with you, if we haven't had that time to see the consistency, to deal with repair, to deal with honesty, to deal with boundaries and respect. And again, this is why I spend so much time with my team, where we spend a lot of time, sometimes at the risk of not getting things done we need to get done. But it's because it's not lost on me that we were virtual strangers last year. And we have to get to know each other. So I get naked with my team a lot. That sounds bad. It sounds bad, but it's not what you think. You wouldn't want to see me naked anyway. But what it means is, like, I tell them what I'm going through. I tell them what I'm dealing with. I tell them what's on my mind. Because, like, if we're really going to be working together, you need to see how I handle conflict. You need to see how I handle pressure. You need to see how I handle tension. And I need to see the same thing from you. Because that's what builds relational trust. It's not chemistry. It's not shared trauma. It's not we both left the same trap. It's not that we hate the same people. Relational trust requires demonstrated care over time. Like I need to see how this grows. And so it is 100% okay not to give your trust away too easily. I trust you enough to shake your hand. I trust you enough to smile. I trust you enough to wave. But beyond that, I can't trust you as far as I can throw you. Time hasn't given me that. Damn, this is good. Okay. And then level 4, structural trust. Okay. Ooh. Okay. This is the place where this is the trust that we place in systems, organizations, platforms, teams, and communities. And structured trust requires more than just good people with good intentions. That's not how structured trust works. It requires process, you know? So, what I decide of whether I trust an institution, whether I trust an organization, I don't decide it by who they invited to speak. I don't decide it by how popular it is. If I'm going to trust a community, I don't decide if I trust the community based off what the main figurehead is saying. You know, it's possible to trust the message and not the mission. No, it's absolutely possible to trust the message and not the methodology. Yeah, no, it's real possible. Y'all don't want to talk to me. No, no. In order for me to trust a community or an organization or an institution, I have to see the processes, because good people don't make communities safe. Good processes do. Yeesh. Okay. Now, good processes require good people, but good processes don't exist just because good people do. All right. So when I decide to trust a community, I'm looking at the processes. How is harm handled? How are concerns investigated? Who protects vulnerable people? Who prevents conflicts of interest? Who has power? Who can be corrected? Who watches the watchers? Because a community without process will eventually default to popularity, proximity, and politics. No, I'm looking at the processes. I'm looking at the processes. That's why in the poll, if y'all have not answered on the poll yet, it's on the screen. What are you waiting on? You put your answer in by putting 1, 2, or 3. What has been harder for you after leaving religion? Is it trusting people? Is it trusting yourself? Or is it trusting communities? And I said, for me, trusting myself has become easier. Trusting people has become harder, and trusting communities has become a non-factor. Because I can't trust a community if I can't trust people. Oh man. Oh, I'm so glad this is helpful. No, I have to be able to trust the people in the community, and even that's not a substitute for trusting the community. Like right now, I think Bridge City is one of the greatest communities on the world. I wouldn't ask anybody to trust it at face value. I'd ask people to come in and help us build it into something that's trustworthy. I hope y'all don't hear me. Okay. So I could give you a few audit questions to ask. We are pretty flipping cool. We are, man. Like I think, and I could be biased, I think Bridge City is just like one of the greatest places, like so far for me, just in the world. I've not seen a place like it. I'm not seeing it. And it's not me that makes it great. It's the other people. I've been saying that for 2 years. That as long as it's based on me, it's never going to be a community, because that's not how communities are built. We got people who joined the community now, they don't even like me. And that's how a community works. You know, like, no, we're not, you don't join a community for the mayor. I mean, that's a cherry on top for sure, maybe, depending on how your municipality is set up. You join a community for the benefits of the community, for the bingo hall, for the shopping opportunities, for the educational opportunities, for the networking, for the relationships. Oh man, that's community. So, as a sort of a trust audit, and I should have just dropped this in the chat, but like before I trust a person, before I trust a group or a community, is can I answer these questions, right? How do they respond when questioned? How do they treat people who leave? That's the biggest one. And some of y'all, this is gonna piss y'all off about me, okay? Because I think Bridge City, we do to me, just to me. And again, I'm biased. I think we do an incredible job when people want to leave. If someone messages us, and I think it sometimes gets under people's skin. If someone messages, say, "Hey, I think I made the decision that this isn't for me," I never try to change people's minds, and that comes from my pastoring days. Comes from like where I realized, like, nah, that's more ego than anything else. That in order for the invitation to always be open, it needs to always be open, which means a person can always say, "No, I don't think this is good for me. I don't think this works for me." And if that happens, what we want to be able to say is, "Hey, I'm glad you spent some time here and the door is always open if you ever want to come back." What we're not going to do is spend a whole bunch of time saying, "Hey, P.S., this person left our community and they suck," which I see a lot of that happening in the atheist phase. No, how do you treat people who leave? How do they handle allegations of harm? Do they protect people or do they protect reputations? Are boundaries respected or are boundaries punished? How do they handle no? Can you just handle a no? Can you handle a I don't see it that way? Well, everybody has to see it the way that I see it. And this isn't a community. This is a dictatorship. This is fascism. Is disagreement allowed without social exile? Are leaders accountable to anyone, watch this, besides their friends? Do they confuse loyalty with truth? This is a big one for me. Do they use private information as a weapon? Please don't do that. Don't send me somebody's private information saying, "See, look, this is who they really are." Because at that moment, it's going to be hard for me not to see you as a middle schooler. It's going to be hard. I'm just be like, "What? Am I back at James Madison Middle School? Am I back at Carver Middle School? Am I back at Girard Middle School?" I told you I went through a lot of schools, okay? Dysfunctional family. Oh, that 1 in 3, it'll get you. It'll get you. Man. And do I feel more free, more honest, or more whole here? Or do I feel more anxious, more performative, and more afraid? And one of the things, like, and I've shared this before, it's not a secret. Like I resigned from one show just because they were using the phrase "we" too much. I don't know, I pick up on little stuff like that. Well, we all think, well, we are, and I'm like, oh, we. As far as me, I ain't never had this conversation with y'all about this. And so to me, that type of language it's already letting me know, like, no, if anybody doesn't agree, this is your cue not to say anything because this is something that we all agree on. And I'm like, oh, that's not a community that's making space for differences. Like, you're not even making room. You're making the assumption. How can you make room for something you've already made the assumption of that everybody in the room agrees? And that's why I'm always a little, like weary-eyed when people say, look, what we really want is diversity. And I'm like, you don't want diversity. You want people who look different but behave culturally the same. Yeah. You want people who can appeal to different audiences, but culturally, they have the same aesthetic as you. Yeah. And so the question does this community make me more whole, or does it make me more managed? Are they giving me opportunity, or are they just managing me? And when you hear me talk about the vision of Bridge City, it's mainly talking about trying to find a way to create space for people, to create opportunity for people, right? So you don't you don't you don't rebuild trust by trusting everyone. And this is probably the best place to wrap this up. You don't rebuild trust by trusting everyone. You rebuild trust by trusting yourself to move slowly, giving yourself permission that I don't have to make the jump to trust just because other people do. It's breaking the power of FOMO, the fear of missing out. You know, trust should have a speed limit. I'm trusting too fast. Let me slow down. I don't have enough information to trust. I, I I don't know you like that. Like, and that's like that's the real. That's the real. That's life. Give yourself permission to trust slowly, to trust at your own pace, to trust with your own space, you know, to trust in your own timing, and trust me when I say you're gonna get it wrong. That's okay. Um, I think we all do at some point, but it's trusting yourself to be able to say, even when I do get it wrong, even when I thought that I shouldn't have trusted here, and I actually should have trusted, I now have that lesson learned. Okay. And I think that's the most important thing. You have to trust yourself to go through the ups and the downs. You have to trust yourself to navigate life, knowing that sometimes you're going to get it wrong. But if you do not build that muscle of trusting yourself, you're never even going to learn what trusting yourself really requires. So let me leave you with this. After religion, you're not wrong for wanting to belong. You're not wrong for wanting community. You're not wrong for wanting people who understand what it cost you to leave. You're not wrong for wanting a soft place to land. That's literally why we do the work that we do with Bridge City. But I do need you to hear me clearly. A soft place to land still needs a solid foundation, because if the only thing a community gives you is belonging without boundaries, acceptance without accountability, certainty without curiosity, and family language without repair, then eventually that place can become another version of what you escaped. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to leave one high control system just to be managed by another one with better language. I don't want you to leave borrowed certainty in religion just to borrow certainty from your new tribe. I don't want you to leave a church that told you who to fear, who to trust, who to avoid, and who to obey, just to join another community that does the same thing without saying God. Because freedom is not just leaving the building. Freedom is learning how not to rebuild that building inside yourself. So rebuild trust, but rebuild it with wisdom. Trust slowly, trust specifically, trust behavior over branding, repair over reputation, patterns over promises. Trust people who can be questioned and who are willing to sit with those questions. Trust communities that can tell the truth about themselves. And most importantly, trust yourself enough to pause before handing someone access to the parts of you that religion already wounded. You're allowed to be reasonable with your trust. Like that's the big takeaway that I want everybody to leave this place with. You're allowed to be reasonable with your trust. You're allowed to say, I think I need more time. You're allowed to say, I think I need more information. You're allowed to say, I care about you, but I'm not giving you that level of access yet. You're allowed to say, I left one system that demanded my trust without earning it, and I'm not going to do that again. That's not bitterness. That's growth. It's not cynicism. That's wisdom. It's not isolation. It's agency. And that's a part of what it means to rebuild your life after religion. Not just to build, not just to believe something different, but to belong differently, to trust differently, to love differently, to live differently. That's the responsibility that all of us bear. Is that if we really want to be committed to better, we all have to be committed to doing something different. Because if we continue to respond to things the way that we have responded in the past, we will only recreate more of the same. So my thought is, in rebuilding trust after religion, the place that you're going to have to start with is learning how to trust yourself and give yourself that space to get it wrong, no matter how much somebody else tries to make you live under their borrowed certainty. So I hope this conversation has been of some value today. I'm going to stick around after the stream ends to kind of go through some of the chats and to check out our poll, which seems to be tied. But thank you all for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you Sunday. Sunday will not be a lecture style conversation. Sunday, I'm going to be asking questions. We're going to be going back and forth, and we're going to be doing that for the entire month of May. Again, thank you for hanging out with me today. And until next time, keep.
Made it through hunger, you made it through pain, you made it through drought, and you made it through rain. You rose over conflict, you've conquered your shame. You've done it before and you'll do it again.
You made it through hunger, you made it through pain,
Yeah.
you made it through drought, and you made it through rain. You rose over conflict, you conquered your shame.
Yeah.
There
is nothing that can ever take your place, 'cause you made it here. You are one of us, this global human race. You made it here.
There is nothing that can ever take your place,
'Cause you made it here. You are one of us, this global human race. You made it.
you made up your mind.
Yeah.
You dealt with the hardest of times.
Oh.
You're finding your joy now and learning to shine.
Oh.
Enjoying your voice and reclaiming your time.
Again, you
made it through dark.
Yeah.
Made up your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
You dealt with the hardest of times.
You're
finding your joy
now.
Learning to shine.
Enjoying
your voice and reclaiming your time.
There is nothing that can take your place. You are one of us, this global human race. Oh, there's nothing that could ever take your place. Is anybody glad that you made it?